This is Up on Game presents Conversations with a Legend with LaVar Arrington. And LaVar is sitting down with some of the legends you have watched on and off the field. This is Up on Game presents Conversations with a Legend. And now, here's LaVar Arrington.
Hello, everybody. Yes, it is me, your boy LaVar Arrington, and it is another exciting edition of Conversations with a Legend. This is Up on Game. It's Fox Sports Radio. Listen, I've talked to a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers, and they've all been on the defensive side of the ball. I hit Captain Kirk, talked to G. Lloyd, talked to Chad Brown. Well, now we're going to go on the offensive side, and this next guy, was a thumper. So even though he was on the offense, he played like he was on the defense. Happy, excited, a great man, somebody I think so highly of, Merril Hoge, man. It's great to have you on the show.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there because I can't be more proud of you, brother.
I appreciate you.
But then when you're doing that rendition there, I'm like, wait a minute. I've been covering you since high school.
Yeah.
And you played running back and linebacker.
That's
so
right.
Why would you go to linebacker
when I was
and
watching guys
back?
like you playing fullback, tailback, you know why I went
That's
for
a good
linebacker?
Way to shut yeah, tell me why.
I went for linebacker because I really did not know if I would be good enough playing running back at the next level. I felt like for my skill set, I would probably be best suited to be a linebacker. And they tried to force me to play running back or safety. So they didn't even bring me in and have me at Penn State. I started off as safety. And so I was like, I'm not a safety. You know, I'm from Pittsburgh. Right. Y'all recruited me as a linebacker. I know y'all see me play running back. Joe tried to get me to play running back. I didn't want to be running back. And then they put me at safety. I didn't want to be a safety. So they ended up putting me at linebacker. It worked out. But, I mean, I love playing tailback, but I really played the position because we needed a tailback.
Really? Well, listen, covering you in high school, I heard about you. And so, you know, your reputation preceded yourself. Everybody talked about – because, listen, there's a lot of guys would leave Friday's practice and go watch the game.
Yeah.
Neil O'Donnell was always at the game.
Yeah, he was.
And he was telling me about you. So
that's pretty cool.
When I was working for the ABC affiliate in Pittsburgh, my first game was one of your games. And I'm like, I couldn't tell if you were you were awesome at both. That's why I was like, I never thought about it. Like, why did you not stay?
I just wanted to be a linebacker. That was just in my head. That's what I wanted to be.
From a coaching perspective, I got to let the guy do what he's most passionate about doing.
Indeed.
I'll get the most out of him that way.
So I got a funny story for you before we go into talking about what you're promoting and what you got going on. We'll talk a little football, but
sure.
Barcelona, Spain. I'll never forget. I was in the 8th grade, and that was before my freshman year. Barcelona, Spain. You guys are playing, ironically or coincidentally, the San Francisco 49ers. We go to a beach. Yeah. we were kids that were sponsored by Baldy Regan, so we're there with you guys. We had great access because of Baldy's relationship with the Rooney family. And I thought the funniest but the coolest thing all at the same time was you were on the beach with a leopard speedo on. It's one of the things that kind of stood out to me that through the years that I remember. And I was like, this has got to be the most OG-est 007 move that anybody could ever pull in life. What went behind? Do you remember? First of all, do you remember doing that?
Yes. Okay. So when you're saying, I'm like, wait, I don't remember you being there. And then when I remember you talking
14,
about it,
I was. Yeah. You wouldn't have known me.
That's right. I was.
But the cool thing, you covered me, but I knew y'all before you knew me. So Tim Worley, I had the biggest thing for you and Tim Worley, and then Andre Hastings was really kind to me. So he came up to me and spent some time with me, but. Tim Worley and you and Warren Williams.
Yeah,
Warren. Man, I was totally into y'all. So that's I knew y'all before you knew who I was covering me.
Well, the saying when in Rome, right? So when we got to Spain, we'd heard about the beaches, and we're like,
it lived up to it.
Yeah, and we're like, you know what? Listen, let's fit in.
Yeah,
that was the goal, to fit in.
Okay, you fit in. You fit in.
Thank goodness there wasn't
IG and
these phones,
cell phones and stuff like that.
Because that would have lived forever.
I was like,
all you got.
Merril Hoge.
Well, and then it became like, you'll never do it. I said, I'll do it. I'm going there, and I'm gonna blend right in.
You did it. You did it.
And listen, I had more on than most.
Yes, you did.
That's a true story.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
There was a lot going on. What was that? The Baltic Ocean we were in. There was a lot going on there. I'll tell you that.
So funny.
I got confused and distracted more times than I could shake a stick at on that trip. I saw a lot of things in person that just
Me too.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Too.
Like you said, when they were all right.
So if you were shocked at 14, I think I was probably about 24, and I was like,
oh gosh,
never seen this before.
Right.
Never seen this before.
Very, very nice.
Yes,
very interesting. Okay.
Now we move on.
Right. Let's go football. Let's start with Pittsburgh. Since we're both, our background connection is Pittsburgh. Troy Polamalu jumped in and said hello to us. What's your take on the latest state of the team? I know Roethlisberger came out not too long ago and said the culture isn't the same anymore. It doesn't seem the same in the locker room, doesn't seem the same, and maybe that could be the reason why the team is kind of where they're at right now. You are part of that Steeler culture and creating and continuing to push and build that Steeler culture. What's your take on the current state of the Steelers?
Well, it actually reminds me of when my rookie year was '87. It was the same transition. Remember that?
Okay.
I don't know if you, at that age, if you would remember that. They're
Tell
trying to push
name.
Chuck Noll out. They're trying to push Chuck Noll out
to bring in Bill.
Game had passed him by.
Yep.
And we had all the old guys, all the '70s. Majority were gone. Only Webster, Stallworth, and Donnie Shell
were still on the team. Okay.
And
I do remember that.
So there's that.
Yes.
That was that. And we were not very good. And when the transition was started there, and that kind of similar thing was talked about and discussed. And sometimes, it takes a while to get that reacclimated when you're making that transition. And I think that is, look at some of the players that have left, veteran. One of them, Troy Polamalu.
Yep.
I mean, even listen, Ben Roethlisberger was probably the epitome of like a Steeler and holding people accountable to being a Steeler.
All right.
And
I didn't know that. That's a first for me to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember the footage where Antonio Brown was doing the locker room thing.
Yeah.
And there was somebody in the background going, "Get off the phone."
That was Ben.
Wow.
Okay.
He was he tried to run the locker room like pros should run the locker room.
And then that turned into that's interesting perspective because it was almost like who's right and who's wrong with the AB and Roethlisberger deal. Like, is it Ben not being a good teammate? Is it AB not being a good teammate? And that became like kind of a conversation.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you this because I know both. I know the scenario intimately.
Yeah.
And this is true in any true environment, but especially professional environment. When you're a leader and you're demanding structure and you're demanding ownership and accountability, and that is being fought back on, you're always going to be looked at as bad.
Yeah, sure.
When somebody's trying to make you accountable and fall in with the team, and this is what everybody's doing. Okay, this is not time to sit there and video yourself and introduce whatever we just did. We got
present.
our time. We got our team. Coach has just called us up here. Let's go to the
present.
coach. So, but because up to that point, they had a really good relationship. But what was eroding is that there was a structure for the team and then AB. And that was just started wearing on the team, started pulling it apart, and it got worse and worse and worse. So I think Antonio Brown just mentioned, what he thinks of Ben as a quarterback. Because you got to experience some other people.
Some other people. Yeah, they ain't always greener on the other side.
Exactly. So I just listen. So to where they are now, though, I think there's some truth to that. And I've been a part of the scouting staff. I had to withdraw from it. But, you know, they're intimately and committing to finding Steeler players. Okay. And having known that.
And that is a thing.
That is a thing.
That is a thing.
But I also believe that you have to get Steeler coaches, too. Coaching is so important.
That's a thing, too.
You know as well, people who have played the game and know sports, I mean, coaching does matter.
Indeed.
And when you have a combination of good coaching and good players, good things can happen and magical things can happen. You just can't have one or the other. You know, the Bill Belichick, you know, Tom Brady discussion. Okay, nothing eroded in my eyes with Bill Belichick and nothing elevated for Tom Brady when they left. That magic together, well,
that's what it was
extraordinary. And the only thing that we now that's somewhat close is Andy and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
You know? But you do need both. You can't have bad coaching because they never get the most out of their players, and they never develop players right. That's why you do need good coaching, and you need guys that can develop and understand this league and how to play in this league.
Before I let you go, unleash your athletic potential without drugs. Breather Fit. It's the ultimate gym for your lungs. Tell me about it before I let you go.
Okay, really good. Breather Fit. Now, I had open heart surgery, and in order to leave there, I had to get my respiratory system back, my lungs.
You had to breathe and blow into the deal.
So this comes across my plate. I'm passionate about fitness and how can you evolve your fitness, make your fitness better. So the first thing that got my attention, the guy said, well, at 30 years of age, once you get to 30, you start to erode cardiovascularly from a respiratory aspect if you're not doing anything cardiovascular-wise. And he's like, one of the best ways to restore that is to train your respiratory system, which is your lungs and the system. And I was thinking, oh, that made sense based on how I had to get out of the hospital for it. But I always thought cardiovascular was about the heart.
Right.
The respiratory system, shoot, of course it has something to do with it. So anyway, I said, listen, you can tell me that, but I'd rather try it. So I started working with it, and here's what I did. I actually, on accident, left. I had to go on a trip. I was gone for about 10 days. I trained, but I didn't do any cardio. But I did the Breather Fit. So I brought this with me. You can do it anywhere. It takes 5 minutes. I do it twice a day for 6 days a week. Take it off. I come home, and now I implement my cardio, and I'm like, my breathing system, my respiratory system was like I had been training.
Right.
But I could tell my heart rate was a little off because I hadn't been training for 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. And so let's say you're not doing any cardio. This would be a great way to kickstart your health because oxygen's vital for your entire body, but really for brain health and brain function. So the more oxygen you could be, the easier you breathe. Here's the results. You'll be happier, you'll be smarter, you'll be healthier, and that's the worst thing that could come from it.
Right.
And it could spark you into investing more into your health.
Make sure you visit breatherfit.com to be able to get the product, and make sure you tell them that the GOAT, Merril Hoge, sent you to go get that, all right? Merril Hoge,
I love you, brother.
It's been a pleasure. I love you too, bro. One of my heroes growing up, man. Hard-nosed football was a part of my culture and growing up, and you were a part of that. Pittsburgh Steeler great Merril Hoge. This is Up On Game. This is Conversations with a Legend, Fox Sports Radio, iHeartMedia. We'll be right back.